Yeah, ready? Yeah, test 1, 2, 3. Welcome to Wonderland. Here we go. Sun is shining. Beautiful day. Plenty of Croatia jerseys, which you love to see. Test 1, 2, 1, 2. Lovely build-up play here by Sydney United, and it's tipped over the bar. I'll give you a little bit. Yeah, good. Oh. Good afternoon and welcome to a sun-kissed baby wonderland, home of the most red-hot team in the New South Wales NPL, taking on a team looking to rediscover that hot streak that they started the season with. It is Western Sydney versus Sydney United here. What always is an entertaining game when these two teams meet, and I tell you what, the weather gods have blessed us with a beautiful one. We are in the middle of winter, but it's a winter wonderland at the moment because the sun is out. Fans have turned up as well on either side of me. Plenty of Croatia jerseys, which you love to see. What a fascinating game. This Wanderers run, I'm not going to say it came out of nowhere because as we've seen in years past in this competition, they are capable of turning it on and turning on the goals. But I don't think anyone could have predicted the week that they had previous. 5 goals against Rockdale. Now, granted, Hunter Elliott was sent off in that one in the first half, which may have skewed the scoreline. But then they followed it up with a 6-0 derby win against their arch rivals, Sydney FC. This one, a Western Sydney derby. And a chance for that team in all red to get back to winning ways. They were the red-hot record starters of this competition, but they've cooled off a little bit. And it is the Wanderers in their alternative white strip to get us underway, looking to continue their hot streak that has seen them roar into the top 6. Can they claim another huge scalp? Will we see another crazy scoreline like we've seen in their previous fortnight? Or will Sydney United get back to winning ways and get back to chasing Marconi and Apia at the top of the table? Go through the lineups for both teams. If you're just joining us now, as I mentioned, Wanderers red hot in their last fortnight. I think it's fair to say there isn't a more red hot team in the NPL at the moment than the team that isn't wearing their traditional black and red. They're in that Where's Wally-esque white and red, and here they come pouncing on the ball. That's the man you wanted to fall to, A1 Lawal. It's Harper Riles. Early chance for Wanderers, but well defended. And an attempted clearance by Vastalitsa. He's blocked. Here he is again. And a chance for Sydney United to try and play their way out of trouble. Run through that Western Sydney lineup for you now. It's Lachlan Allen in number 35, Ricky Franson in number 4, Jesse Cameron in 5, Oscar Morrison is in 6, Leet Abdul Rahman is in 7, equal top goal scorer in this competition. Hawan Duwal is in 9, Noah Ovens comes into the starting lineup in 13, Joshua Setenich is in 17, Harper Riles is in 20, Bradley Marshall and Lachlan Satut round out the 11. Here comes Sydney United, their first foray into the attacking half is a good one and an early chance. Draws a good sharp save from Allen at his near post. But a warning sign there, and that is a very pleasant sight there for Sydney United fans. The return of Farakoko, and he almost was the creator of the opening goal. I'll run through that Sydney United lineup. A couple big ins for them. Adam Pavlicic is in goals. It's a back four of Bailey Rule, Adrian Vastalitsa. Michael Glassick returns to the starting lineup to partner the skipper. Strong challenge there, and Carlos de Oliveira knew straight away that he'd given away the foul. He throws his hands up. Koya Nakano is the left back. In midfield, it is that man who gave away the foul. Carlos de Oliveira, Dylan Rose, Tomislav Ozanic, Farakoko returning to the starting lineup this afternoon. And once again, Carl Chimenti leads the line. It's Lachlan Satut to take this free kick. When these teams meet in the NPL, it's always entertaining. I hope I haven't put the commentator's curse. This would be a great start and definitely live up to that billing, but not that time. He got the curl, but just couldn't bring it down. Both these teams with early efforts on goal. Without question, the best falling to Sydney United, drawing a good save by Allen. And the story in the NPL in the last fortnight has been the red-hot goal-scoring form of Western Sydney. And I think back to those Andrew Christensen teams, players who are now A-League and European football regulars, Zach Sapsford, Marcus Eunice. Those teams had no problem scoring. Nathaniel Blair, and it's been a return to that. Seems like there's another great generation of Wanderers NPL players coming through. They come into this game with the equal best attack in the competition. Sydney United, second best defence. So it's a battle of styles today. And without having to bring up the old football cliche, defence wins championships, but Wanderers have been winning games and winning them convincingly with this red-hot attack. Here they come once again, this time from a throw. It's a shame that our camera is on the same side as the crowd, because great turnout here. Both grandstands either side of me are full, and the crowd fitting for this great game. Saturday afternoon, perfect kickoff as well, and now it's opening up. Here's De Oliveira. It's 3-on-3 as Coco at the back post, putting his arm up. He just holds it up and plays it to Tillo. And coming across there to send it to safety, that time was Ovens. A couple times there, Wanderers pouring players forward, leave themselves a little bit susceptible to the counter-attack, and that is the Sydney United trademark. Defensively solid and rapid and clinical on the counter-attack, and they've threatened to do that a couple times now. Wanderers, though, sticking to their principles, playing that beautiful football. And one thing about these NPL teams, and I've had the pleasure of commentating quite a few Western Sydney games over the years, is that this team only knows how to play one way. They live by the sword and definitely die by the sword. And a couple occasions sometimes in games where you might just need to close up shop a little bit. Do a little bit of an Arsenal, or what they attempted to do in the Champions League final. Shut up shop, drop a low block in there. They can leave themselves susceptible and lose games that they should win. Here's Coco, ex-Western Sydney Wanderer, of course, winning the foul. There's a couple ex-Wanderers boys in this Sydney United team today, particularly up front. Kyle Chumenti's another one. And Farah Coco most recently at Wanderers only a couple years ago, before making a quick detour past Manly. And tell you what, Sydney United certainly have missed him. He was on Sudanese international duty, so big congratulations to him and his family on that. What an amazing accomplishment that is. It's always so cool when you see players from the NPL representing their heritage, and Coco, another one. Good interception there by Glassick. A bit of space out on this left-hand side, and they go in the direction of Tillo, and it's a foot race between him and Cameron. Cameron does well, lunges in there, wins the ball. Tillo responds equally, and exciting young player. There's a few of them here in this competition. Gabriel Tillo made his debut last year as a teenager and did not look out of place. Scored a couple of big goals this season as well, just like he did last year, and has become a regular, very important member of this Sydney United team. Made their 7th round of 32 in the Australia Cup, record for a New South Wales team, undoubtedly the most successful New South Wales NPL team in that competition, famously making the final 4 years ago before losing to MacArthur. And 7th time they've made the round of 32, and they did that by dismantling Blacktown man who scored a double that day, including an absolute screamer, Mason Wells, on the bench. Sure, Sydney United will be excited to release him and have a Coco Wells partnership terrorising teams like we saw in that first third of the season. I mentioned at the start of the game, it's the most red-hot team looking to claim another win against a team that's gone a little bit cold, and I use that because United's start was a record start. They were 11 unbeaten to start the season, 10 wins and a draw. As that is a foul as clear as the sky is blue. Bailey Rule wasn't happy with it. It is Rule who takes the free kick, and this game's just settled down a little bit. A couple early chances, a free kick, big chance for Sydney United. Nice bit of space here for De Oliveira. And he is capable of scoring great goals, not that time. When you look back at that start, it's a long season, and United really are the epitome of that. You've got to throw in so many factors. You have to have a deep squad. We've seen Apia and Marconi dominate in the last few seasons, flip-flopping between championship winners. Apia winning in 23, Marconi in 24, and then the team from Lambert Park in 25. And so often it's the team that peaks at the right time in the season and also has a little bit of luck with injuries. And yeah, you add the element of players leaving on youth international duty, in Farakoko's example, senior international duty as well. United just have to ride this storm a little bit. Thankfully for them, the start that they had to this season, the top three opened up a gap. So 4 losses in their last 6, but they still have a 6-point gap on fourth. Coco. One thing's for sure, though, when you play academy teams, you don't want to go a man down. And Rockdale found that out the hard way a couple of weeks ago. And Wanderers, this isn't the most analytical piece of analysis you're ever going to hear, but when they're on, they're on. Some of the wins this season: 5-0 against Rockdale, 6-0 last week, 4-0 at Sydney Olympic, 4-0 against Sydney FC. They battered their sky blue rivals. Bit of space out on that left-hand side for Nakano. He looks up and picks out De Oliveira. Decent chance, and Scott just does enough there. He spilt it momentarily. Great football. It was a lovely ball there by Nakano, and to pick out his captain, who did well with that bouncing ball, which was at an awkward height. And Allen just momentarily spilt that one, but thankfully for him, he was able to jump on it before anyone in red was able to bundle it home. United going to bounce back from that home defeat last year. This is lovely football from Western Sydney, and a bit of space has opened up here. It's taken a deflection, which has taken all the sting off it. And his easy pickings for Pavlicic. Nice end-to-end start to this game. Unfortunately, the scoreboard's out. I actually don't know how much time has gone by. I might do something that my fiancé tells me I'm incapable of doing and try and multitask. Have a quick look at the stream there. Thank you for joining us today, live and free. Maybe some of you, which I know people do, are currently at Wonderland and listening to a little bit of commentary as well. And I'll tell you what, if you are here, you've got the best seat in the house right now. It is beautiful. Got a bit of average weather here, given away. Just as it looked like Sydney United were starting to wrestle control, Wanderers just coming into this game a little bit. It's been a good start to this first half. 15 minutes or so gone. De Oliveira tries the big switch. That one was a little bit messy there for Marshall, and he had that one climbing up his torso, but no handball. Nakano, great feet. I tell you what a luxury it is having someone like Koya Nakano. He's got the feet of a midfielder, can play in midfield, can play at centre-back like we saw in the Australian Championship, and playing on the left-hand side today, and he's had a good start to this game. No Tomoki Wada, but this game again hasn't featured since coming off against Apia. Michael Krislovic is the team's top goal scorer on the bench once again this afternoon. Hasn't scored in his last 6, which is kind of symbolic of the team's run, because there are 4 losses in their last 6 after that record-breaking start to the season. Tillo does well to get around Cameron. It's been a good battle on this touchline, which is right underneath me. Sydney United left-hand side. I feel like both flanks are going to be a key battle. Marjol's got a big job keeping Farakoko quiet, and equally, the veteran of this team, Jesse Cameron. Been here for a few seasons now. I say veteran. He's probably still at the age where he gets asked for his ID. But he's been a part of this NPL setup for a while now, as the last remaining member of that team that made the red-hot start to the season back in 2024. But like is often the case with these academy teams, as rule is fouled, players are called up to the A-League team at the halfway point of the season. It's a real awkward one for NPL teams, because players that are on A-League contracts have to have a mandatory break. Other players leave the midway point of the season, like we saw back in 2024 when Nathaniel Blair and Adam Bugaria signed with Perth. Players go on international duty. It's a different goal for these academy teams, as opposed to Sydney United, whose goal is to win this competition every year. Their goal is to supplement the A-League men's team, and they've done a fantastic job doing that. Although their A-League men's team, their first ever wooden spoon, they've seen a lot of players leave Wonderland in recent times, and it looks like we could be seeing another great generation brewing here in the NPL, which is where it all begins. Goalless after 17 minutes. Sydney United looking to get back to winning ways and stop this red-hot Wanderers team. It's Farakoko to take the corner. Loops it in. Decent corner. Header away, but only as far as De Oliveira, who sends it straight back in. Franson, no nonsense, heads it straight back. United not wasting any time, throwing it straight back in. Rose. Coco once again. Got players in the box waiting for the delivery. Does well to get around the defender. Takes another touch. Penalty! To the delight of the Sydney United fans and the disbelief of Wanderers players, Farakoko back from international duty into the starting lineup and wreaking havoc. And let's hope the ex-Western Sydney Wanderer is okay, because in this opening 20 minutes he has come back to haunt his former team. Biggest moment of the game so far, Sydney United penalty. Referee was perfectly paced. No hesitation there. And I hope you picked up that roar on the effects mic, because there's a large Sydney United contingent here. Looking very nice in red and white. It is going to be Lachlan Allen. Lead Abdul Rahman giving him a bit of motivation before he tries to deny an ex-Western Sydney Wanderer, Kyle Chimenti. It's Allen against Chimenti. And he slots it into the bottom corner and gives Sydney United the lead as they look to regain that spark which has been lost in the last month and a half. But it is the away team that take the lead in this Western Sydney derby. Farah Coco wreaking havoc early, winning the penalty. And it's an ex-Western Sydney Wanderer who wins the penalty. Another one that dispatches it. Allen went the right way. It is Sydney United who look to get back to winning ways, who've taken the lead here against the most red-hot team in the New South Wales NPL last fortnight. 2 wins with an aggregate of 11-0. So far, though, Sydney United have made the strong start. And these teams met earlier in the season. It was a 3-2 win for Sydney United. And so far, this opening 20 minutes promises to be just as exciting as their earlier encounter this season. And the story so far is that man holding the ball back from Sudanese duty, and right on cue there, the scoreboard has come to life, which is great for me. I don't have to guess the time anymore. It's 20 minutes gone, and it is Sydney United who lead by 1-0. Cameron. Wanderers have had their moments, created big clear-cut chance yet. They've had a couple of moments where just that final shot has been blocked or the final pass is off. Ovens plays it back to his goalkeeper. And United so far have done a good job containing Awan Lual, who it looked like wasn't going to be, or anyone really wasn't going to be anywhere near Damien Sekenis, who looked like he was running away with the golden boot, but out of nowhere, another foul for Sydney United. A couple United fans asking the ref to dip into his pocket there and brandish the game's first yellow card. Not that time. On the wild, 4 goals last week against Sydney FC, which drew him level with Sekenis, 13 each. And don't know who's going to finish as the top goal scorer in this competition, but we do know it's going to be a different name than it usually has been, as Farah Coco runs out of room there at Ward. Basically, Nikudushevsky has just had his name permanently on that one. Back to back to back. Winner of New South Wales NPL Golden Boot, moving to Bankstown for this season in League 1, or the old NPL 2, which means that we will get a new winner. So far, United done a good job containing Lual. Doesn't get much more experience and rock solid of a centre-back partnership than Glasic and Vastalitsa. Both didn't feature in the Australian Championship for Sydney United. Both were sorely missed as well. And I know that such a proud club with such a roaring fan base as well would not have liked what they saw in the Australian Championship, but they definitely made amends with their start to this season as well, and I'm very excited to see what they produce in the second instalment of the Oz Championship. Halfway through the first half, it's Kyle Chimenti. Penalty, which is the difference. Chimenti, it's a big goal for him. preferred once again to Krislovic, who is Sydney United's top goal scorer, rewarding his manager's faith. As Vastalitsa tried to send that one onto the freeway, I think, and it almost looped up and landed straight back on top of him. Goes out eventually. Insane. Can't really recall too many times where we've seen the red-hot A1 Lual so far. Is that about to change? Wanderers looking to go direct. Oh, the long throw. Tell you what, it was a cannon. First header not away properly. Second one a little bit better. Still there. He tried to shoot through a sea of bodies. Blocked not once, not twice, but 3 times. It was Satut who got the first one away, and Sydney United just throwing themselves. Lovely sliding tackle and a decent ball there by Lual, who tried to play in his partner in crime, Abdul Rahman. Lovely slide there by Setenic. Almost looked like something you'd see in EAFC. It was that perfect. Nakano's had a strong start to this half. Here's Chimenti, be full of confidence. And they switch it out wide to Rule. He's got Tillo right beside him. And he goes to Sydney United's exciting youngster. I'm feeling longer this game goes, the more Wanderers are going to need to pour players forward. That's just going to play into Sydney United's hands perfectly. They go in the direction of Rule and send that one away. Classic comes across. Back into the starting lineup to partner Vastalitsa, and he's done a good job, as has this entire backline, keeping this red-hot Wanderers attack quiet so far, but there's still a long time to go. 25 minutes into it. And it's Wanderers who lead by a 1-0. Nice, crisp interchange of passes there. Pavlicic hasn't had too much to do, apart from a free kick which went over the bar. Almost all of Western Sydney's shots have been blocked by a defender. They go now. Here's a bit of space. Did that hit a hand? Yes, it did. Noah Moss, the referee, was perfectly placed, and I think Satut knew, and then Satut gives away the foul. Well, United players and fans asking how many times until we see a card. Noah Moss keeping them in his pocket. De Oliveira. A couple decent chances on goal. Definitely his second one, with sure good save from Lachlan Allen. And Vastalitsa comes roaring off his line there, trying to dispossess Lual, and it was Nakano who ends up doing the job. He's had a fantastic start to this game, Koya Nakano. So good on the ball, but he's also showing he's the full package defensively as well. Here's Franson. Just looking back at that penalty, which I suggest you do at half-time. Don't do it now, because you might miss something, but lovely burst of pace by Coco. Drew the challenge, and Moss, very theatrically, I liked it. There was a bit of a wind-up with that penalty gesture. And then slotted by Chimenti. And that is the difference so far. Cameron, he's now had to do a lot of defending, trying to return the favour to his opposite number there and put a bit of pressure on. And Rule sends that one to the field behind us. Plenty happening here at Wanderers Football Park, or Baby Wonderland as I like to call it. I think these players, particularly the older Sydney United ones, will be thankful that it's on grass and not the unforgiving AstroTurf, which as you get older can be a bit of a punish on the joints. Thankfully my Sunday League competition, all grass. If you look at Andriacchio, you'd wouldn't be too alarmed, I don't think, with what he's seen in this first half. Probably like to test Adam Pavlicic in Sydney United's goal a little bit more. They've had a couple decent little, I'm not even going to call them half chances, quarter chances. And that final ball's just missed the mark or been blocked. That's been the difference so far. Carlos de Oliveira forcing Lockie Allen into a nervy moment. And had a very early chance which drew a good sharp save from Allen. Through a beautiful interchange of passes down that left-hand side, and that's where they've looked the most dangerous. Sydney United. Coco back into the lineup and causing problems, and it is a welcome sight for Sydney United. Pavlicic. Beautiful passing there. Just tight passing windows. These young, I'm not just going to even say Wanderers teams, but all these A-League Academy teams, lovely turn there by Ovens. Just strengthens my point. I was just about to say, they are so comfortable on the ball. Doesn't matter which position. Gone are the days of the big centre-back who has two pegs for feet. All defenders now have the feet of midfielders, and they're so comfortable on the ball. Comfortable evading the press like we just saw by Ovens there. It's been a good little passage of play here by Western Sydney, and a bit of space on that right-hand side, and Marshall just runs out of room. Made a great run. Half an hour gone. It's Sydney United who lead by 1-0, looking to do the double on their Western Sydney rivals and get back to winning ways after that tough 1-0 defeat to David Perkovic's Sutherland Sharks last week. It's been a tough run for Sydney United. 3 in their last 4 they've lost, and 4 in their last 6 after going 11 unbeaten to start the season. Here's Rule bursting forward. Plays it out wide to Tillo. Cross in the direction of Chimenti, and Ovens heads it away. That may have taken a touch off Rule. It did. Looping throw. Lual dropping deep. Trying to get himself into the game. Well won. Once again by Glassick. He's been impressive. And he's returned to the starting lineup. Rose, nice little turn of pace there. Coco, he spells trouble for Western Sydney. Coco trying to find some room. He does. Ozanic, he's De Oliveira. Rose has his heels clipped. Still on the ball here, and then Satut was there to block it, but it falls back to Vastelitsa, who gives it away to Satut, and then fortuitously it just ricochets back to a red jersey. Here's Tillo. Their fans will them on. They'll be loving what they're seeing in this first half as they look to get back to winning ways. Satut does well to get back there, and he's helped out by Jesse Cameron. You can see the crowd in shot there. It's a great sight. That sun's beginning to set. Full grandstand. Grandstand on the other side's full as well. Plenty of red and white. The Croatia bucket hat. Wonder if you can see that one. World Cup fever hitting as well, and it's definitely Sydney United fever in this first half. And the Western Sydney fans always turn out. Doesn't matter how their team's going in the NPL or the A-League. They support all levels. Their women's team, everything. We saw it last week. The RBB travelled to Rockdale, so their team won 6-0. Haven't had too much to cheer about yet. Lovely work there by Setenic to ride a couple challenges and play Abdul Rahman, who's also, just like Lual, been kept quiet in this opening 45 minutes. Setenic. He's had a couple good moments, particularly with the ball at his feet. Lual leaves it for a second. I thought that was going to be a masterstroke there. And Ovens cuts off the ball, plays it back to his goalkeeper, who has been involved in the biggest moment of this first half. Went the right way. Lockie Allen, but unable to keep out a Kyle Chimenti penalty. Ball's pounced on, and now they release Tillo. Got a bit of space there on this right-hand side. Franson's coming across. Tillo against Franson. Stands him up, and I wonder a centre-back does well to cut off the cross and concede a corner. 11 minutes to go here. Sydney United pressing for that second. If anything, they've looked the better team since going 1-0 up. It's Farah Coco to take it. Looking to double their lead. Snap this back-to-back losing run. He has been the architect of a very good first half so far for Sydney United. It's Coco to take it. Floats it in. Plenty of airtime on there. Tillo just sends it goalwards, and despite the dive, it looked fairly comfortable for Lachlan Allen. Franson looks up, has an option out to his left and goes that way. Cameron tries the dinked ball over the top for Lual, and Glasic does well to just put his body between Lual and Pavlicic. Rose. Quite a number of these Sydney United players have had a very good first half. Dylan Rose in the centre of the park's one of them. Stalitza goes long. Kano brings it down brilliantly and skips past the defender. Here's Coco trying to find some room on that right foot, and he does, but the shot is over the bar. Lovely football down that left-hand side once again. Koya Nakano and Farah Coco linking up once again, and Coco just couldn't keep his shot down, but another warning shot fired by the Sudanese international. And then with a bit of time to carry this one out, and to Ovens, who's very comfortable on the ball, and he's showed it once again with a lovely switch. Sliding interception there by Ozanic. Ovens once again. United doing a good job just forcing their backline into making maybe one too many passes there. They're keeping everything in front of them at the moment. Very disciplined in their approach. And both the Wanderers centre-backs unable to find any space. Here's Franson once again. Looking for some space, plays it out wide. As I said just before, they're doing a good job shutting down any space in United, but they might find some now with the cross, and it's sent out for a Wanderers corner. Unable to find much space for their attackers with the ball on the ground. They might be able to do it, though, from the set piece. Lual flicks it on. It falls here for Cameron, who sprays his shot over the bar. It would have been a gorgeous hit, but it was always rising. And Pavlicic urging his players forward. Looked like maybe they were going to play it short. Take a couple seconds off this first half as well. 5 About 6.5 minutes to go. Kyle Chimenti penalty separates these teams so far. Very promising first half for Sydney United as they look to get back into the winner's circle and keep their premiership hopes alive. Of course, doesn't really mean much when we have a finals as well, but it's more silverware. And I'm a football purist. I believe the team that finishes first at the end of the season should be champions, but I understand why we have a finals as well. It definitely is exciting. Of course, we did have that 1 year with no finals back in 2023, and then we switched back the following season. Now, of course, you had the added element of non-foundation teams being able to qualify for the Australian Championship. So I guess that's the NPL's equivalent of the Champions League, if I'm trying to compare it to European football. Marshall battling with Nakano, and former Tigers man there made the move over before the Australian Championship. Very young Sydney United team in that Australian Championship. Finished bottom in the group, a group with Apia, Metro Stars and Bayswater City as well. You know that a proud club like Sydney United with such rich history would not have liked what they saw at the back end of last year, but definitely looked like the Sydney United we're used to seeing in the first half of this season and in the Cup. Although they have cooled off a little bit, but that's certainly not the case this afternoon as they look to get back to winning ways. 4.5 minutes to go in this first half. You see, Cameron thought he was fouled there right on the corner of your screen. Franson. And as I mentioned, United doing a great job just forcing Western Sydney to play side to side, but unable to cause them trouble direct. Every time they try and go direct, there's a Sydney United player there to cut it off. And they've kept Wanderers' red-hot front line quiet so far. Ewan Lual coming into this game as the joint top goal scorer in the competition, scored 4 goals. Last week, him, Abdul Rahman, been kept quiet so far. Well, their centre-backs have had to do a lot of passing, forcing passes long, and there's just no room for them so far. And here's Morrison. Lual closed down once again. Great challenge by Vastalitsa. Here's Farakoko. Koko just slows it down and plays it back to Nakano, and Sydney United will be very happy with their opening 45 minutes, but they'd love more, and they've definitely threatened. Not sitting back and inviting Western Sydney back into this game, which is the last thing you'd want to do against this red-hot Wanderers team. Big referee playing advantage. Satenic has stayed down, and now the ball's going to come the other way. Satenic is still on the floor. Here's Ozanic. Passes it right around the wounded Satenic. And Nakano's continued his run. Here is Koko. Lost his footing at the last moment there, and a chance for Western Sydney to break. And a foul there by Vastalitsa, who I have a feeling is going to be the first one to be yellow carded, which he's not happy about. He's 50 metres away from me, but I can make out what he was saying. Looked like he thought maybe a couple of Wanderers players should have been booked before, is what I'm guessing he said. With a little bit of profanity as well, maybe. always going to have your hands full when you referee Sydney United. Noah Moss draws the assignment today. A couple of weeks ago, they had a very fiery game with UNSW, and the Bermuda Triangle, the Village Green, Uni's home ground, claimed another team. They are unbeaten at home, dreaming about finals football in their first season in the top flight. Both promoted teams, both playing in the top tier for the first time, making a great account for themselves. And a couple big teams languishing at the bottom, which you don't like to see. Thankfully for both these teams, that's not a worry for them. They're thinking about finals football, and Western Sydney, after battling relegation last season, came into this game in the top 6. Now 30 seconds of the opening 45 to go. Jim will get a little bit of time. It's been that stoppage for the penalty. But all in all, first 45 has flown by. Tillo tries to keep that one in. Ovens carrying the ball forward, tries to go forward, but like we've seen in this opening 45 minutes, Sydney United rock solid, and then Nakano is fouled, and a Western Sydney Wanderer goes into the book as well. It's a sarcastic cheer from the Sydney United fans. It was the late Abdul Rahman, the one who gets booked. Frustrating opening 45 minutes for him and this entire Wanderers front three. Vintage Sydney United performance so far in this first half. Rock solid defensively. Not giving them any time on the ball or space to do anything. And then at the other end as well, they've looked dangerous. Definitely not sitting on this 1-0 lead. They may, though, as you just saw there with Tillo. Be happy to just see it out till half-time, which is surely a few seconds away. Right on cue, that is the half-time whistle. And the defining moment of this first half belonged to a couple ex-Western Sydney Wanderers. Farah Koko, who returned on international duty with Sudan, has been brilliant in the opening 45 minutes. He won the penalty. And then there was another ex-Western Sydney Wanderer who converted it. Kyle Chimenti. Sydney United look to get back to winning ways. They are 45 minutes away from doing so. Halftime here at Baby Wonderland. It's Western Sydney Wanderers 0, Sydney United 1.
It's a sunny afternoon around Sydney town. Looking forward to how this game goes. Oh, jeez. I tell you what, that is plucky. Lawal just got his rump in. A wipe with a towel. We're in injury time as we speak. Still waiting for the board. I think it's going to be 1 minute of additional time. And as the ball comes inside, a goal. Well, he got himself in a lovely position. The Sky Blues. There's Lawal has got possession. Lawal now teetering in the area, has the shot, goes past Husserl. Just like the first half, he gets the opening goal. They're on the charge for another here. Abdul Rahman. Dangerous. Inside. Lawal. He's coming back and being told it's Lawal now. Works it on. Here's a chance. Abdul Rahman. Another goal. Check on the Googling machine. Now Lawal has got the chance. Yep. Make it 4.
This is a really important kick of the football. From 12 yards, Jack Fulton scores!
Kobayashi. Nizam peeling to his left is Kobayashi, but Nizam will take the shot and he buries it. Khan Nizam. Nizam in front of him. 1-2 from Jack Stewart. He gets a better side of him. Michael Cooter cuts it back, looking for Court! And Max Court finds the back of the net. And just like that, Apia. Kobayashi skips inside and has Fong to his right, and Cameron Fong will get to it first and can measure a nice ball in, cutback ball. Onto the penalty spot it goes, and Presley Ortiz.
Crosses back in again. Yeah, it's cleared away nicely to Tafu. Tafu drives in the shot, takes an awkward bounce. Oh, and it's gone in. A ball has gone in there. Mason to Tafu with the shot.
It's a couple of times now where they've been guilty of perhaps throwing the long ball too quickly. Muri Najjar, the flag has stayed down. A huge chance for Rockdale! Never think you know which way a game of football's going. Of course, to get one over there. Emergent enemy, that is a brilliant switch of play though. And an opportunity for Marconi to equalise. Another great save from Kane. Oh, brilliant. It's cleared away again. And then bashed in by Armson.
Free kick taken short. Olsen back on his feet. Curves it into the box, and it's going to be finished at the back post. Sutherland lead at Sydney United.
Welcome back. Big 45 minutes coming up. Players are ready. We're actually waiting on Noah Moss, the referee. Maybe he got stuck at that line next to the canteen for the bathroom. Tell you what, packed. I made the mistake pre-game of getting caught in it. Just wanted a bottle of water. I was there 15 minutes. It's because the fans have turned out for this one. Plenty of Sydney United fans, lots of Wanderers fans, of course. So far, it is the team in Croatia, red and white, will be the happiest. They are 45 minutes away from getting back to winning ways, unless Western Sydney can ignite the league's best attack, which went a little cold in that first half. Maybe a better phrase is they were kept quiet by this rock-solid Sydney United. Carlos de Oliveira goes in the direction of the quarter flag. The difference between these two teams is a Carl Chimenti penalty, but one of the underrated stories is how rock-solid Sydney United were defensively. But despite that, they have made a change. Liam McGing coming on and replacing their captain, Adrian Vastalitsa, who did pick up a yellow card in that first half, so maybe they just being a little bit cautious there, expecting Western Sydney to dial it up a couple notches. And the last thing they'd want is what happened to Rockdale a fortnight ago and go a man down against this Wanderers team. You do not want to go a man down against an academy team. Kano does well. One looks like it catches the Oliveira's hand. It did. So confirmation of that change. Vastalitsa off. And McGing on. His father, Miro, the manager of Sydney United, of course. Maybe with the cautious approach there, just taking his son off, who was on a yellow card, unless Adrian has picked up an injury, which we hope not. McGing, a very handy replacement, and Michael Glassick back in the starting lineup was fantastic in that opening 45 minutes. To Ruckman already trying to get more involved than he was in the first half. It was just a case of no room. They was suffocated, that front three. And saw a lot of this. Unfortunately for Western Sydney, their centre-backs having to play it sideways, and when they do try and go long, it's cut off by a red jersey. Kano didn't know where the ball was. Tenic to Ovens. A couple of nice moments on the ball. Noah Ovens particularly evading the press. But Sydney will be wanting to get that front three. Harper Riles, Ewan Lawal, and Abdul Rahman in the game.
Did you hear me on the phone then?
Ovens drives, and is cut off by Coco. And Franson has something to think about because there were two Wanderers players there, we beg your pardon, Sydney United players breathing down his neck. Morrison. Wanderers controlling possession, but Sydney United very disciplined in defence. And a rare mistime tackle there invites Western Sydney in. Early chance here. Pavlicic does brilliantly to get a hand on it and then to prevent the ricochet from going in. The first real lapse in defence from Sydney United invited Western Sydney back into this game, and they almost equalised there. Not one, but two. Good moments there. The first one, I wouldn't really call it a cross. It was a cross that, I beg pardon, I wouldn't call it a shot. It was a cross Pavlicic stuck his hand out and then it fell to a wanderer and they just couldn't steer it goalwards with enough venom. And Pavlicic was able to cut it off. But already, Wanderers in this opening 5 minutes of the second half looking more threatening than they did in the entirety of the opening 45. Franson driving forward. And they run out of room there and it's going to go for a goal kick. Sydney won't be panicking yet, as we've seen throughout this season. They're capable of scoring goals in bunches. They came into this game equal best attack, 36 goals. Some of the scores they've put on teams is frightening. If you're not a fan of Western Sydney, but if you're from Western Sydney, you'd be loving some of the attacking clinics that they've put on teams this season. So plenty of time in this game, and already the space is just opening up a little bit more. Here's Satut, who did brilliantly. He's running out of room and he sends a cross in and it goes over everyone, and Coco keeps it in. And Nkano just sends that one away. Franson heads it back in. A bit of head tennis going on here. They do well to keep it down. There's also those Wanderers defenders going to have the sun in their eye, which I'm having a contest with here. Lovely feet once again by Ovens. Not for the first time today. Showing off a very clean pair of feet there. We saw Koya Nakano do the same. Here's Abdul Rahman. Had options both sides. Here we go. Decent chance here for Western Sydney. It was Harper Riles and the space opened up there for Abdul Rahman. Lual wanted it, and just like I said 30 seconds ago, Nakano, great feet once again, but then he has the ball pinched off him. That was probably the best chance of the game for Western Sydney. Lual was wanting the ball played to him. They went to Riles instead and unable to test Pavlicic with his shot. Another strong De Oliveira challenge. Draws the whistle there from Noah Moss. Tell you what, this is the first game I've commentated with Noah Moss as a referee. He wouldn't look out of place in a Western Sydney Wanderers jersey. To see the young referees, the next gen of refs. In the New South Wales NPL, he couldn't be a day older than 25. Doing a good job so far this afternoon. Although I'm sure no one on the field there will tell him that. It's a thankless job being a referee. It's like parenting. Nice switch. And that touch on the chest just allowed Tillo to stick a foot in. Franson. Much better start to the second half from Western Sydney after frustrating first half from then, unable to get anything going in the attacking third. And Sydney United looking comfortable in all aspects, but putting more pressure on, getting this man involved. Nice sliding tackle by Nakano, who is becoming a fan favourite amongst those Sydney United fans. A couple shouts of Koya as he slid there. Abdul Rahman seeing more of the ball in his opening 8 minutes of the second half than he did in the first 45 altogether. McGinn was pressed there. They don't want to be too pedestrian on the ball. Western Sydney punished Sydney FC inside the first minute. Lual closing down Gus Hofslot for the opening goal in that game. And they never looked back. Lual would score another 3. And Western Sydney hitting them for 6. Much more close game this afternoon. Rule full of energy in the opening 45 minutes. Tillo sends that cross in the direction of Chimenti, but it's over his head. And out for a goal kick. Should be taken by Lockie Allen, who's brought out the hat for the second half. As I mentioned before, that son is in that real awkward position. I'm having to give myself the old hand visor. Riles. Will they rue that chance, which in the result wasn't as good as it probably should have been. It looked promising when they broke free with Abdul Rahman, had options in Lual and Riles. He went to the Wanderers number 20, but was unable to really test Pavlicic. Ended up making a pretty routine save. Challenges are flying in, heavy contact. Here's McGing, thrown on at half-time in place of his captain. Playing next to Michael Glassick, who's been rock solid in the opening 55 minutes. Sydney United look to get back to winning ways, back-to-back defeats. Also, look to get back to keeping clean sheets, which is something they haven't done since the beginning of May when they defeated Sydney Olympic by 3-0. They're going to be under pressure here. Lual wanted it at his feet, and Riles played it in front of him, and that's just been the story so far in this opening 56 minutes for Western Sydney. That final ball, that final shot has just been off, and now Wanderers look to go up the other end. Zanic was offside. Warning, though, for Western Sydney. Sydney United showing how quickly they can turn defence into attack, and Zanic just mistimed his run, otherwise could have had a shot on goal. Pass cut off there, but Zanic rather fortuitously for Western Sydney, and unluckily for him, it ended up playing straight into a Western Sydney Wanderers possession there, and whistle goes the other way. If maybe we'll see some movement on that Wanderers bench soon. Players warming up. Rules back to his feet, which is good news for him, and those Sydney United fans will love to see players with full of energy, players like that. Very easy to love. Going in the direction of Lual, cut off once again by Nakano. A bit of space here for Lual, he lays it off for Satut. Lual once again, usually a goal scorer. Might try and be the provider this time, unless finds some room, and McGinn does well to get there first. Looping cross gives Pavlicic something to think about, and he had to claim that one because he had a Wanderers player right behind him ready to pounce if he made a mistake. Abdul Rahman much more involved in this second half. He's starting to influence this game. They're trying to bring Lual into it. A little bit of space for Rose. Just to pick out De Oliveira. Lovely sliding tackle there, and then they're adamant they should have got the foul there. It was Satut who did brilliantly to intercept it, and I think a lot of people here thought maybe win the foul as well. Rule plays Tillo. Quickly swarmed by two Sydney United players. As we approach the hour mark, no change to the halftime scoreline. Sydney United leading by 1-0. Wanderers came into this game 5 games unbeaten. That crazy fortnight. 2 wins, 5-0, 6-0. So far, the league's best attack, equal best attack I should say, being kept quiet. McGing. Classic. Goes in the direction of Tillo and Cameron sees it out. Lual holds it up. Plays to Tut. Cameron. Wanderers getting ready to make a change. We hit the hour mark here at Wonderland. Teams looking Wanderers looking to continue their winning run. And their winning streak is at huge chance of ending, and for Sydney United looking to snap a 2-game losing skid, 4 losses in their last 6. So it looks like one streak is going to end. They go long in the direction of Chimenti. Headed by Franson. Marshall, he was under pressure there, but plays it back to his goalkeeper. Sporting the cap. Keepers in hats. It's a big yes from me. Ovens. Marshall. Kano. Tell you what, I don't give out the 3-2-1, but he would be a huge shout today. Koya Nakano, Farakoko as well, winning the penalty. Zanic sliding there. And Tillo with a bit of space to take it forward and try and pick out a teammate. Ovens sends it away. Riles bounces off the top of his head there. And United forced to just send that one away for a throw. Western Sydney finally will get the chance to make that change. It's going to be Harper Riles who makes way. Riles has 4 goals this season, unable to get on the score sheet. As the rest of this team. Oscar Moore who comes on. So confirmation of that change. Moore on, Riles off. Oscar Moore has a couple of goals this season. Scored a free kick earlier in the season against Sydney FC. His team won't care where it comes from. They just need a goal to get back into this game. Keep his unbeaten streak alive. Here's Abdul Rahman. Marshall. Morrison. Moore. Oscar Morrison, Oscar Moore. That's a tricky one for commentators there. An easy one to confuse. Both capable of scoring great goals. As the ball from the game behind us has ended up on the field. Oscar Morrison, I beg your pardon. See, I got it mixed up. There you go. Oscar Morrison wearing the armband today. Scored a Xabi Alonso-esque goal against St. George FC a few weeks ago in his own half. It might take a moment of magic to unlock this Sydney United backline, which even with that halftime change, taking off their captain and replacing him with Liam McGing, they've still been rock solid. Sydney United going to make a double change. Gabriel Tillo and Carl Chimenti coming off. Leroy Jennings and Michael Krislovic coming on. So attacking change there by Little Vastalitsa. And he brings on, takes off the goal scorer, brings on his top goal scorer, Michael Krislovic would love to get back amongst the goals. He's a little cold streak. He's just run simultaneously with this tough 6-week stretch for Sydney United. But one thing you can say is he scored 7 goals this season. When he does score, they don't lose. Lane out wide to Coco. Rose. Confirmation of that change. Tillo. I may have said Rose. Doing my best. There's no board here, so I'm having to do the count. Zanic. Lays it out wide to Jennings. He's got Rule making the overlapping run. He goes to him. It's Carlos de Oliveira! Sydney United double their lead. And Carlos de Oliveira has threatened all game. This time he gets his goal. And Sydney United may be heading back into the winner's circle. They have doubled their lead. And it is their spiritual leader, Carlos de Oliveira, who gets the goal. Lovely football down that right-hand side. Nice ball from Bailey Rule, who's been full of energy. And threatened all game. Picks out de Oliveira. Puts it past Lockie Allen, and Western Sydney have a tall task on their hands now. Beautiful work by Rule. He's getting the high fives from his teammates. And Leroy Jennings, a substitute, just came on. He was heavily involved as well. Did well. He held the ball up. Rule was making the overlapping run. He kept it simple, played it to him. And Rule picked out his number 10. The number 10's finish there. And conceding that goal is compounded by the fact that Noah Ovens is going to have to come off. He limps off in back play. A double blow. Marko Radovancevic comes on, so Radovancevic on and Ovens off. I was just saying, and I had to quickly wrap up what I was saying because Sydney United were creating a chance. I'm going to have to do it once again because here come Wanderers looking to hit straight back. It's Lual. Low shot, was never going to test Pavlicic. It's been that type of afternoon for Western Sydney, and particularly their top goal scorer. Frustrating in front of goal. Unable to create many clear-cut chances, and when they have half chances like that, unable to test Adam Pavlicic. I will be finally now able to spit out what I was trying to say, is that there's no fourth official board for substitutes, so I'm having to do the manual count and work out, and my eyes aren't the best at the best of times. I've been told I need glasses, so I'm trying to make out who's come off and who's come on. A couple numbers look similar, so apologies if I do get it wrong, but I know that I will get it right eventually. United have made 3 changes. Made that half-time change. The heart of defence, something you never really want to do. Adrian Vastalitza came off. He was on a yellow card. Liam McGing's done a great job. And Leroy Jennings came on for Tillo. Krislovic on for the goal scorer Chimenti, and substitute making an influence straight away. Beautiful move down the right-hand side. He held it up for Rule, whose overlapping run led to a cross. Picked out de Oliveira. Is that going to be enough for Western Sydney's unbeaten run to end? Just look at on your camera here. Look at those 2 blocks of red jerseys. And it's been a red wall, and Krislovic wins the ball and now looks up and he has Ozanic in front of him and he goes in that direction, but Allen was there to cut it off. Here's Radovan Savic. Bit of space out on this right-hand side. Is it to Majul? Just had to delay his run a half second. Majul sends it in there, and it falls here to a Western Sydney Wonders player, and they put it wide. It was Lachlan Satut, who scored in back-to-back games. And with the amount of time that he had, he probably should have made it 3 in a row. Best chance, without question, for Western Sydney in this game. And that really should have been their way back into this football match. So, wonder is it definitely turned it up a notch since conceding. Now you can see the urgency. They can't afford too much more time to go past without them scoring a goal. They need a way back into this game. They went the simpler route, cross, not dealt with. It ended up falling in their lap. Here's Abdul Rahman, and too many of those shots have just fizzed along the ground. And been easy pickings. Adam Pavlicic. Here's Coco. Krizlovic. And he plays it across goal, and Western Sydney do enough just to send that out for a corner. Lockie Allen, full stretch there. Krizlovic, mentioned he hasn't scored his last 6. Take an assist though, but he's going to be one of the threats from this corner, which the Oliveira is going to take his time. He'll be in no rush to take this one. And Sydney United have definitely earned the right to time waste. I don't think we're at that territory yet. Probably about 10 minutes away. They could definitely probably ice the game though here with a third. The Oliveira to take it. Here, jostling and wrestling going on in the box. He sends it in the direction of Allen, and Zanic flying into a challenge there. Here's the Oliveira once again. Oliveira loses the ball and then regathers it, and he's fouled by Satanic, and a bit of frustration starting to creep in now for Western Sydney, who are going to make another change. Coco. Header away. Falls. Looked like it was going to fall to a Zanic, and now chance for Western Sydney to break. Player down there. They thought they should have got a whistle. It's Sydney United on the ball. Nice feet. Yeah, beautifully done there by Rose to get around Lual. Here's Coco. Johnny Pavlovic, Joey's international, wearing number 10 for Western Sydney, who's come on. He's got 5 goals. They're under 20s this season. They'd love him to get his first one for the first team. As another little heat check there. He's never going to test Pavlicic. Pavlovic just come on for Western Sydney, another exciting youngster. Well, they're all youngsters, but He's very young. Joey's international. Been very impressive for their under-20s team. Featured off the bench, mostly for first grade, as Franson, you feeling he's going to end up in the book for that one? There it is. Ricky Franson shown a yellow card by Noah Moss. Abdul Rahman was the man taken off for Pavlovic. Frustrating game for him and the entire Wanderers front three, but it wasn't without effort. Abdul Rahman, particularly in the second half, he was trying his hardest. At this stage, it's been a vintage Sydney United performance. And that front line has had to really feed off scraps for a majority of this game, and they've kept the red-hot Awan Lawal quiet. For his opening 75 minutes, he's been left on, though. They want to way back into the game, but Sydney United want to kill it, and it's Oliveira's shot. He's never going to test Allen. Rules there to cut it off. He's been fantastic today. He set up that second goal and full of energy, defensively solid. Franson, nice feet, evades the press. So taught his chance. That really was the moment. Without question, their best chance in this game, and that would have been 2-1. 20 to go, which is plenty of time. Unless Western Sydney can find 2 goals, it's going to be the end of that 5-game unbeaten run. McGing. Nakano. Along in the direction of Jennings. Unable to get around Cameron, who's continued his run. He's got options left and right. He pays it to Pavlovic. Cameron's continued his run and lays it off. And therefore, Satut, who's on the floor. There's 2 Wanderers players on the floor there. United do brilliantly there just to loop it over the top and then win the foul. And that's the danger averted. So just looking at how this result would influence the ladder. It's a live ladder I'm looking at now. Sydney United would go first momentarily. Marconi and Apia still to play. Farah Coco is going to come off in front of the Sydney United fans and get a well-deserved applause there, soaking up the praise like he should. He has been fantastic today in his return from international duty, so it's been a great week for him. Representing Sudan. It looks like returning to Sydney United in a winning performance, and I have a feeling he might feature amongst the points as well. And what a substitution to make. Coco off and Mason Wells on. You have a feeling that we're going to be seeing those two feature from the start together regularly like we did during that 11-game run. Western Sydney would remain 6, but it just shows you how tight the table is. Could end up as low as 9th. at the end of this weekend, having come in 6th. So that just shows you how tight it is, not just at the top, where Sydney United will go momentarily. Up, you play Manly at 6 at Lambert. So a chance that they could finish the round where they started, Marconi in action at home tomorrow against Wollongong. Momentarily, Sydney United will go first, unless Western Sydney can pull this game out of the fire. Doesn't look likely, though, particularly from what we've seen from this Sydney United team defensively, doing such a good job containing this red-hot Wanderers attack. Came in as the equal best. To be able to keep a clean sheet against them would be very impressive. And they're 9.5 minutes away from doing that. Franson. There's been a lot of this in this game. Wanderers going from side to side, but right on cue when they try and play it forward. There's a Sydney United player there to cut it off and intercept. And they've done such a good job stifling this Wanderers attack. They go long. McGinn cuts it off. He's been great. Thrust into the action at half-time, replacing Adrian Vastelitz. Has done a good job so far. Moore. Nice tackle there by Moore, but it'll fall to Pavlicic. Vastelitz showing off his squad's depth here, being able to bring on Mason Wells to see off the end of this game. He's a key part of this team. Wells, not just in the league, but in the cup as well. The squad rotation, I'm sure, with the team having played a lot of football and lots of football coming up. Western Sydney there at home once again next week. Same place, same time as well. Saturday, 3 p.m. kickoff against St. George City. A goal here would definitely ice the game. Just slipping away from Western Sydney there. 5-game unbeaten run looks like it's going to end, and United, they're going to snap that streak of back-to-back defeats. Lovely link-up play, and Oliveira skies the shot. He won't be too fussed, though, because his goal looks like it's going to secure 3 points for Sydney United and send them top again. United away next week. They play Manly on a Friday night. I'm sure their fans will travel for that one. Nice work there to get around the couple players by Oscar Moore, but final touch. Always just seems to be a Sydney United player there to cut it off. 7 minutes to go. Marshall, that one's overhit and goes out for a goal kick. Quickly rushes to get the ball for them, but as you can imagine, Sydney United in no rush to take it. So, as it stands, Sydney United are going to go top if they can hold on to this win momentarily. Apia in action later today at 6 o'clock against Manly, and then Marconi also at home tomorrow afternoon against Wollongong, which will be a fantastic game. Wollongong just going about their business quietly. They came into this game in 4th position as well, so top 4 clash tomorrow, but they're definitely an under-the-radar team at the moment as we approach the final third of the season. Franson just trying to send it long. Jennings now with a chance to drive forward. He's got 3 players queuing up, and he decides to play the safe option and play it back to Rule. Does really well to skip past a couple of tackles. Plays Wells, who can score from anywhere with both feet as well. De Oliveira. Cross in the direction of Ozanic. It was to Satut. No Wanderers get another chance. He had their best. All they need is a goal, just to set up a grandstand finish here. De Oliveira. Wells tries to get around Marjul, and he'll take the throw. And I think everyone in the stadium, including me admittedly, thought that one hit Bradley Marjul, but referees didn't see it. Is that a slice of luck Western Sydney need? I tell you what, if they were to score off that ensuing throw, there would have been a riot. Morrison. Goal's going to have to come ASAP. Krizlovic getting back there and defending. Sydney United going to make another change. It's the seconds tick away of the 90. We've only got 4 minutes to go. Tomislav Ozanic comes off. Big shift from him, full of energy. And it looks like it's going to be in a winning effort. Kano's throw. Wells. Hounded by 3 players there, so confirmation of that changes. Nicholas Protejna on for Tomislav Ozanic. Wells cuts it off. This is a chance now for Sydney United to break and ice this game. Wells was trying for the chop onto his right foot, but he lost it momentarily. Here's De Oliveira. He's it out wide to Rule. Tries to get around Cameron. Western Sydney recover, and now they have a chance to break. Bursting forward now. Rare bit of space for Western Sydney. There was a nice run there by Satut. Pavlicic plays it back to Lachlan Satut, but the shot once again is tame, and it's just been one of those games for Western Sydney. Although I'm sure, I don't have the stats in front of me, they've had quite a few shots on target. A lot of them have been like that one that you just saw. Tame efforts, really giving Adam Pavlicic, the Sydney United goalkeeper, too much stress. Western Sydney came into this game in 6 on 24 points. They could potentially be leapfrogged by a few teams in that logjam right underneath them. Sydney FC, of course, winning last night. Sutherland Sharks, NSW could also overtake them by the end of this weekend. One thing that Western Sydney do have in their favour is a massive goal difference, plus 15 heading into this game. So if you take 2 off, Sydney FC, who are also on 24 points, lovely work by Nakano once again, are -3. And Sharks and UNSW in positive goal difference, but just 1 goal and 2 goals respectively. So that could be key as we approach the business end of the season and that run to finals. I think it's pretty safe to say that Sydney United will be playing finals in 2026. 13-point gap between them and Western Sydney heading into this game, and that's going to be lengthened, it looks like, unless we see the wildest of comebacks, and we've seen a couple, particularly here in Blacktown. Wells does well, though, and he's going to skip away, and it looks like we're going to skip into added time here. Great ball to pick out Krivlicic. Oh, Krivlicic thought, and so did the Sydney United fans, that his run without a goal was going to end. But Scott tipped it over the bar and has kept his team in it, but they are hanging on by a thread. Michael Krivlicic, who is the team's leading goal scorer on 7 goals. Almost added an 8th there. 4 minutes of added time. Western Sydney need 2 goals, and they need to send the ball to the other end. It's at the wrong end at the moment. Jennings, can the substitute ice it? He had a big hand in that second goal. He's going to hold the ball instead. Played along the ground to Pratejna. I have a feeling there'll be a couple Sydney United players in the team of the week this week. This man is a huge candidate. If I did the man of the match, he'd be getting it for me. So confident on the ball. Defensively solid. Flawless performance so far. Not long to go now. It is desperation time. Pavlovic thought he was fouled. He might take something like a set piece or something like that for them to get back in the game, because United haven't given them an inch. Go long in the direction of Krivlicic. And now falls to Pratejna. And that was a chance to ice the game. It might not matter in the end. Sydney United leading by 2-0. Only a couple minutes to go now. Go long. It's in the one time where they've looked the most likely is when they just send the ball into the box. That is what led to their best chance. Tell you what, you have to give a shout out to all these Sydney United players, particularly Michael Krivlicic has been excellent since coming on. There's a whistle there, but it came from the field behind me. A little bit of confusion there. I think a couple of the players maybe got sucked into that one as well. Now they send it long. Now or never, Radovan Savic. Nice little turn, but straight into a dead end. It's going to take something, even a goal at this stage might be purely consolation. Krivlicic, he looks forward. Blocked there by Radovan Savic. And they go long in the direction of Jennings, who has been good since coming on. Of Mira Vastelitsa's changes have been good ones and have played their part. Here's Krivlicic. He would love a goal. Michael Krivlicic. It's still Krivlicic. Hands it out wide to Wells. Gets it onto his right foot. And that was almost another Wells curler. Just over the bar here. From start to finish, it has been a brilliant performance by Sydney United. I think we're at the stage of the game now where you can say they're going to take the 3 points here. Scoreboard has stopped once we hit 90. We had 4 minutes. Surely the 4 is up. Western Sydney have had their moments but unable to produce anything threatening, because it is a vintage Sydney United performance. They have looked like the Sydney United we saw in the first 11 weeks of the season. They snap their 2-game losing streak and also in the process end Western Sydney's 5-game unbeaten run. First half penalty to Carl Chimenti was then doubled by Carlos de Oliveira. Sydney United momentarily go top with Apia and Marconi still to play. Western Sydney came into this game in 6. Could end it as low as 8th by the end of the weekend. Western Sydney derby ends here at Baby Wonderland. Final score, Western Sydney Wanderers 0, Sydney United 2.